Hi, I'm Anushka,
And I'm Sayaka.
and welcome to Girls at ADHD.
We're two ADHD therapists with ADHD here to help you laugh, rant, cry, and unmask your way through adulting with ADHD.
This season, we're back with more unhinged moments.
Except now with guests.
So buckle up, hit play at two times speed.
And come spiral with us as we make sense of our beautifully chaotic brains together.
Hey everyone, welcome to Girls with ADHD.
And we have Arjun on board with us today. Arjun Agarwal is a founder and CEO of Inaam, an Australian impact investing fintech and ex-portfolio manager at KPMG High Growth Ventures, and a board member of the Iceberg Foundation. Basically, he's doing all of the things. He's a TEDx speaker and globally recognized entrepreneur and leader, having worked across 3 continents in investment banking, management consulting, and impact with global leaders, such as Africa patron in chef, now in memoriam, Nelson Mandela, investor tech, straight bat private equity, and the NDIA. Arj is a social impact advocate working to bridge the global gap between capital, young people, and entrepreneurship for a better world. Resident brown boy in fintech with that dash of neurospicy required to take on the patriarchy. Welcome, Arjun. That was quite a bio.
I've actually never heard that said out loud. I've only ever seen it written. Jesus Christ, this is a lot.
He's accomplished. He's an accomplished man.
That's one way of putting it. But thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
I mean, our listeners are probably wondering why we have a fin bro on.
Yeah, finance bro on our
Finance bro.
podcast.
I'm not 6 feet either. I'm not a bajillionaire yet, but I'm not an average finance bro.
Should we put that on a t-shirt? Not your average finance bro.
Correct.
Great idea. This is a really classic example of when 3 ADHDers get together and go off track. So the reason we have Arjun on board today is because we're talking about ADHD and money.
So we're going to talk about Inaam eventually, right? But I want to start with your lived experience as an ADHDer. Because you're neurospicy, you're good with money, which I think a lot of ADHDers actually struggle with money. And I know your app probably doesn't like differentiate between who has ADHD and who doesn't. But I was just wondering, with your experience, or even like with people you know, what are some of the experiences ADHDers may have with money and spending money, or any patterns that you see?
So I think a lot of it is also ingrained in how we associate ourselves with the world. And those habits and behaviors typically are reflected in most aspects of life, including how we deal with money. And with someone that's neurospicy, I think the first thing is also just how hard it is to have a conversation about money and breaking the taboo about having a conversation about money. It's not hard, but again, everything is already difficult for us in general aspects of being normal in the world. The money thing is like three steps above that in any case, because everything's harder. I wouldn't consider myself great with money. I think I've just made a fuck ton of mistakes and learned from them. And had the mindset to learn from them, and they're typical mistakes a lot of divergent folks would make. I think I also just probably want to acknowledge that growing up, I was privileged to be taught about money. We had cake and candies every month, which meant we had to come up with a business idea, like a lemonade stand or a mini pizza stand or a candy floss stand, and we'd have to market it. We'd have to, factor in the cost of renting it, producing the thing, selling the thing, and come up with a profit afterwards. So, I guess my money habits and behaviors are ingrained in some of the privilege I had growing up, which in my own life I was then stripped of and then had to teach myself my own lessons for different financial literacy challenges. And yeah, I think the reason why I am the way I am is because I made a fuck ton of mistakes.
What are some of those mistakes, if you don't mind us like asking? Do you, like the rest of us, do you forget to pay your fines and forget to unsubscribe to stuff, or like, like I don't open my mail, for example. I don't open my mail. because I'm scared to see fines.
I'm so afraid to go to the mailbox. So I think the step before even forgetting to pay for the fine is forgetting to pay for parking, which makes the fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or not reading the parking sign because you're late for the thing that you were meant to be on time for, and then rush parking into said parking spot and coming back to a parking fine. So
I think it was like a couple of years ago, my car got like towed because we were in a rush.
oh
And
yes, your car got
you remember that? We like, so again, classic. We were like out, I can't even, it was not even that important. We were going out to drink somewhere, parked my car, didn't read the sign properly because why would you? And also, Melbourne has complicated signs. We were late, left, we abandoned the car, came back 3 hours later, the car wasn't there.
And mind you, because of the step back, we were also stressed at the time of the place where we were at, which we couldn't enjoy because we thought, what would happen to the car and would we get a ticket? So that's step one, which is organizational challenges. Then is the embarrassment of, fuck, I got another ticket. And then you take the ticket home thinking you put it in the pile of receipts. And you go, okay, we're going to pay for it eventually, but you forget. And then you get mail, and you're like, oh, fuck, now they added more money to the thing because you said you were going to get to it, and then you didn't pay for it, and now you have to pay more. And so now I have, like, I think close to fucking 3-4 grand worth of outstanding parking fines, which are now are on a fucking payment arrangement.
Yeah, it's like $20 a week for the rest of our lives.
So now, yeah, I'm paying $20 a month to pay this off, because it's not that we don't want to follow the rules. It's not that we don't want to be on time. It's not that we don't want to be present. We just happen to create kind of a situation for ourselves where we cannot make conducive financial decisions, which then have repercussion effects. The second is the traditional subscribe to something and forget to cancel subscription. I've had to resort to the point where the minute I subscribe to something, it goes into my calendar to cancel it. And I guess the final piece is there's so many administrative things that are just not fun to do. Like forgetting to update. I also have a level of, because I've come from a financial issue background of making sure admin is on point, but something as simple as updating your address on your bank account is so critical, because you might start getting letters in the mailbox that you don't live at anymore and miss important things. So keeping financial, I guess, cleanliness across your bank accounts, across your utility bills, across your phone bills, of addresses, etc., it piles on, and it is a lot to be on top of, and that costs more over time. And then there's the credit conversation, which the first thing for someone who's neurospicy, which I think is important to understand, is how does credit even work? And what is credit? It's literally money that is created out of thin air by a formula called the money multiplier. Effectively, banks have the ability to turn $100 into $1,000 out of thin air. And unless you understand that concept, as people who have impulsive emotions and impulsive actions, we lead ourselves to situations where, hey, that Uber Black doesn't sound like a bad idea. I can make it up. And we do boy math or girl math or other math in our head to justify an impulsive purchase, which is otherwise a non-rational financial decision. And you have to, there's a bit of a journey here where you need to acknowledge that you're making an irrational decision before you can put actions, tools, and steps in place to start making rational decisions. However, there is the middle piece of, hey, there's work to be done, which you want to procrastinate on before you can put said system in place. And then you've got this cycle spinning of just ongoing bad decisions. I've been catfished out of $50 of money, because
That's his name in my phone. It's 50K for this reason.
fuck you. And I've also made bad investment decisions. So whilst I was responsible with a close friend of mine for setting up what was South Africa's first blockchain fund, which we quadrupled in 6 months, I also made shit investments when the NFT boom came. But part of that also my process of experimenting, learning, and failing fast. So there is a mixture of, we have risk appetite as neurodivergent folks because we recognize patterns, we recognize the ability to do things differently, but finding the balance between that and our kind of inherent ability to make impulsive decisions is where the financial literacy comes into place. And all of this boils back down to, how do you talk about money? What is your relationship with money? And do you understand money? And those things, once you build, we love knowledge. We're like, I reference neurodivergent folks as literally ChatGPT. The way a neural network works is by finding an input and attracting as many pathways of information that relate to or resonate with that input. And so once we have the knowledge base of finance, which is where a lot of us lack in general because we're not taught it in the right um, circumstances or even at school, we have the ability to then start training our minds to say, hold on, I learned about this, I heard about this, I've seen this, I probably shouldn't be doing this. And then the kind of light bulbs start going off in our heads.
With that, I guess, because it sounds like you've made quite a few mistakes, big mistakes as well. And I think another part of like ADHD is like, that happens to me or my clients or my ADHD friends is like, you make a mistake, a money mistake, and instead of stopping and going like, I shouldn't do this again, you end up in a shame spiral, and then that emotional discomfort makes you spend more and get further into like that money mistake. So what stopped you from going into that shame spiral and actually coming back?
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that's just part of some of the mindset and character building work a lot of us do in personal development. That shame exists, but not being able, and we come from a South Asian background, which further makes it harder, where if you make a mistake, it's as if the world has ended. But creating a space for yourself where you're able to talk about your mistakes, own up to them, and be vulnerable about them with the right people, to then be like, actually, yeah, I fucked up, but I now have acknowledged it, spoken about it, realized what I did wrong, and am now in a position to do something about it, is what's helped me get out of that process. The second thing, which is a bit more extreme, is the deep lived experience I've had in my own family, where I've I've lived on both ends of the wealth spectrum. So with my father, he was an incredibly successful entrepreneur. I have an inkling he was likely neurodivergent. He wasn't, whilst he was great at business, sadly not the best at managing his own personal finances. And so he lost his entire life savings in the hundreds of millions because he didn't know how and where to invest with the difference and got taken advantage of. He also ended up losing his life. And so there is the part of me which needs to own up being neurodivergent, but has been taught through real life lessons of having everything to literally having nothing and needing to build from scratch. And so every decision I make and every mistake I have since made has come from a place of A, wanting to learn, and B, knowing what it looks like if you seriously make a life threatening or a life altering mistake. And so, whilst I'm cautious, every decision I make comes with 3 backup plans in the back. And so, whilst I have lost said money, I have a rule where I've established for myself from learning, from reading, from all the things that you never ever um, kind of take a risk higher than 2 times or 3 times what you can cover, whether that's on paper, whether that's liquid, whether that's through other assets you own. And so, even though I would have lost significant amounts of money, they would be within a threshold of, do I have the ability to make it back? And is it documented and black and white? And do I have the ability to take that risk? So it's like you can't make an omelet without cracking an egg. You won't learn, or you can't make money unless you spend money / take the risks you need to. And I think you both are very well aware of that. You've started a business that comes with its own risks, but it comes with its own reward profile too.
Yes. Yes, we are waiting for the rewards, but we're getting there.
If anyone, on the topic of money, if anyone has funding, please
send it to us. Arjun will make sure we're spending it well and wisely.
and ethically.
No Balenciaga.
I don't even have the money for the plastic bag you're supposed to buy from Woolworths. What are you talking about?
Are you sure you want your people to know about that?
We're out here stretching no money. We're like, it will happen. But no, I hear what you're saying about financial literacy. I think as ADHDers, we're very concrete in the way that we learn and understand the world. And if things are not explained to us, we don't have a consequence. And so when we don't have consequences, the actions that we take, they don't feel like they don't feel like heavy enough, you know? So it's like if I can't physically see what the consequence is of something. So for example, with my parking fines, I'm like, they're just parking fines. I'll pay these off. Like you said, $20 a month for the rest of my life. It is what it is. And then, you know, I think of risk and reward in that moment. But until recently, I hadn't realized that, like, as a psychologist, if I have parking fines that are unpaid and that I've attempted to try and sort out and haven't sorted out, that if I was to write like a legal letter potentially for like a client, and if that ended up in court, and if I had to make an appearance, that could be used as like a character thing. And I was like, oh fuck. Like I'm like, well, I mean, no, I have enough to like back up my character anyway. But the point is that I didn't know that there were more consequences in the long term than like, oh, I'm out a little bit of money, you know? And it's just like not understanding one financial literacy and then like the legalities of things and stuff like that. You're just like, oh shit, like it doesn't feel like a big enough thing in that point.
You know, money, at least for a lot of neurodivergent folks, or maybe me, yes, I do care about money. I'm not going to say I don't. But at some point, it stops being as motivating to like do things to be like, oh, I'm just going to get more money from it. And then I lose interest in it. So a lot of ADHDers start becoming good with money when there is some sort of their own value that is aligned with the money. And I'm sure we can all attest to this, that one of the values that we all hold as ADHDers and people in general is like being very justice oriented, wanting to have impact. So do you see that trend working with Inaam? And also, is that why you started Inaam?
So going back to what I mentioned about my dad, that's why I started this. It was a deep-rooted sense of needing to make sure no one would ever have the same experience that me and my family had with money. Sorry, my family and I had with money, and ensuring that everyone was empowered to make the right decisions with money, which is why I created Inaam, to help young people that don't know how and where to invest to do so with an impact. The impact piece was actually higher rated than anything else. 93% of the people we spoke to during research said they want to make an impact with their money. The problem was they didn't know how and where to start. And that's what Inaam is solving for. That was the issue that my family had too. We were like, there was bucket loads of money. We didn't know what the fuck to do with it and how to manage it. And so hence created this thing to understand how and where to invest and to do so with an impact. And this might be more of a bias, but in our world of neurodivergence, things are much better when they're visual. And whilst Inaam is built to be simple, it's built that way because the world makes more sense. Finance has been jargonized for far too long. I struggled with it myself. I was like, okay, how do I build something that I would use? I've now gone and had a career in investment banking and management consulting, all the boring things that I didn't like doing, to learn about money, to learn about finance, to learn about how the world works. Inaam is the distillation of all of that in as simplified and visually appealing language as possible for everyone to make sense of it. And all the stuff that's in it is very ADHD friendly because I wouldn't fucking understand it if it wasn't done that way. And what we've seen from beta testing is that it resonates with everyone. Everyone's actually wanted to interact with money and finance this way.
This is bringing that concept back, right? So if we, not just in finance, but in the rest of the world, if we make the world more neurodivergent friendly, it doesn't just help people who are neurodivergent, it helps everybody. Because for us, any type of system that is simpler and easier to digest and work
straight to the point
that's going to benefit everyone. And so I love what you're doing with Inaam and having like it being visual, being modular, being neurodivergent friendly format, because that's going to be helpful for everybody who comes into it, and you're achieving that concept of financial literacy. On the same note, what are some other things that ADHDers can do to build better money systems?
We like systems. The challenge is using them, and
Yes, using them and continue to using them.
and so I don't think building the habits is the hard part. It's building the consistency of the habit, which is the hard part.
Yeah.
And so that consistency is where technology can be leveraged.
What's that? What? Wait, start again. That totally just threw me off.
That consistency is where technology can be leveraged. Take 3, Act 5. And that is where technology or technology can be leveraged to help us become more efficient. Things like counting your salary once it hits your account if you're in a paid, professional, in a profession where you receive a monthly or a regular salary. So using tools that automate how your money is directed. So immediately putting money away into a rent account, immediately putting money away into a savings account. Automation helps that a lot. And staying away from negative financial habits such as accumulating debt or credit card debt, which will put you in a spiral of, I can use this, I'll pay it back, whatever. And just saying, actually, my rule is I will not the only reason why I have a credit card is to improve my credit score. And so I will not spend a single dollar unless I already have that in my savings or checking account. And I'll immediately put that money back in my credit card, which helps me build my credit score. And I'm not actually using debt, so that you don't have to worry about another bill. Automating your utility bills, your phone bills, your electricity and Wi-Fi, things like that, like using technology to enhance the efficiency of the systems we want to build, are a good way to do it. However, the taking one step back from that is building a consistent or stable source of income. Because as someone who's neurodivergent, we tend to chase after shiny things. And that means if we're not in a gainfully employed situation that we like working at, we might not show up to that gainful employment location in the way we want to, which then jeopardizes that standardized income. Or B, we might be doing 500 different things, which none of them have a certain flow of income, which then adds more pressure to that system. We will basically do things that put that system in jeopardy, which means the system won't be used, which means we're back to square one. And so there is stuff that involves building the right kind of, professional and income stability first, and then focusing on what do we do with said income to manage the system as well. And automation is one. Having conversations with friends and being vulnerable. So it's similar to the mental health and the emotional safety piece, where if you want to build a friendship, you need to understand your boundaries, understand how you specifically deal with money and like to converse about money. If you're going for a night out, having the conversation, hey, do you use Splitwise? Do you use another called Beam? How do you want to pay the bill? How do you treat money? To make sure that you don't put yourself in a cycle of, oh no, I'm scared to ask this person because I don't know how to deal with money. Well, have the conversation. Talk about money and become habitual in talking about money to remove the stigma, the stains, the shamelessness, the shame around money, and be shameless about it, as we are now with, finally, in most instances, with our emotions. And also just visually tracking. So, being able to tangibly see the fruits of your labor with money, whether it's the increase in your savings account and having a graph or a chart or something like a wee money or an Inaam or a gather that keeps all your money in one place so you can visually see its effects.
Yeah. I have a question about that. So I'm one of those people who keeps money in different accounts, right? But I do it. It started off because when I was studying, I needed just a better savings account so that I could pay for uni and stuff. And so that happened to be ING as opposed to Combank, which is where I was working at the time. Now I keep my savings at ING purely because it's out of mind, out of sight, which means guess what? That money doesn't exist to me. So for me, in my ADHD brain, I like going to see how much I've saved, but I also don't want to see it because if I see it, then I'm like, oh, I have money to spend.
And so reducing access to that money
Mm,
is really
yeah.
the important piece. Means if it's invested, there's more barriers for you to be able to then liquidate it, to then get it, and to then spend it. Whereas if it's in a savings account, it's 2 clicks and it's in another account. And again, you can't do what I've just said if you didn't know about what I've just said, which takes a level of baseline level of literacy, which is again, sorry, shameless plug, which is where something like an Inaam comes into place because um, it's helping you learn as you go. It's focused on investing, but the modules, the games, everything else built in it not only help you feel good about what you're doing and tangibly see the difference your money is making and the returns it's making, which at times previous performance and back tests have shown close to 19% per annum. But you see, oh shit, I actually, reduced carbon emissions. Oh, I actually improved the number of trees planted or increased the number of jobs created. And so pairing that justice piece with a system piece and a literacy piece then says to me, oh, why would I want to take the money out? Because the cost of me taking it out is not just I can spend it. It's that means I'm not going to be reducing as much renewable energy.
I come from a family where my parents' backgrounds are accounting and finance. So you should think that I would be good at financial literacy. Um, and my mom tried to teach me how to budget and stuff, but wasn't until I had a conversation with another friend where like their spreadsheet system is the thing that I was like, oh, that actually works better for me in being able to see how to budget for like the year and like all of that. And now I use that also for me, which is what I've then passed on to Sayaka because we have tried millions of models and this is like so freaking simple. It's literally a sheet and it's like weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, and then I put everything in. I'm like, wow, money. This is how we know how much. But like, I think that's where like, yeah, on your point on like talk to the people around you and use things that are simple or keeping things simple for you and like creating barriers. I think for ADHD is for any habit you're trying to reduce, create a barrier for any habit that you're trying to increase, like reduce the barriers around that. And I think you're right, like with money and saving and things like that, if you can put it away, like you're still spending and it's still being put away somewhere, but like learn about investments and stuff. And I think a lot of people find it daunting because they're like, oh, it's this big, scary thing, but it doesn't have to be.
No.
Yeah, and I think that, like you just said, right, you figured out what works for you by having a conversation. You won't know what, and money's had this taboo. Oh, you can't tell people what you earn or how much you make or how you save or you put it because it's this big secret recipe. It's not a secret recipe. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. But the only way you figure out what works for you is having more conversations and then be like, I can do this too. Like pick and choose what works for you based off of that. And that can only happen through dialogue and through conversation. And gatekeeping is the whole reason why the financial services industry keeps profiting from people who don't know anything.
It is the shame of like not knowing things, because also like it's true, I've like talked to many friends who I haven't talked to money about, and suddenly I'm just like talking about money and how much they're making and how much they're earning, and the awkward silence kills me.
And there's a way, right? So if you're talking about that, yes, it's uncomfortable. So you don't talk in absolute. You say, hey, I'm earning between 100 to 150K. That's a healthier way to say it. When you talk about, and people always say, oh, I pay this much for rent, I pay this much for groceries. How the fuck is that information? The reason why I'm saying that is if you earn $100, right, and you spend $20 on rent, that's 20% of your income. If you earn $50 and you spend the same $20 on rent, that is close to 50% of your income. That is a more valuable and insightful conversation because you're saying, hey, bro, I'm only paying 20% of my income to rent. You seem to be paying 50%. Are you okay? Like, do you need to manage your money better? Whereas if they both say, oh, I also spend $20 on rent, you're like, oh, great, he also spends 20. That gives zero information. And so learning about how to talk about money is so important so that you get insights, so that you learn. so that you're in a position to make better decisions.
Make better decisions. And I think the better decisions also come from this, right? As ADHDers, we're hella impulsive and we're most likely to be like, oh, like if your friend invites you out to do something, we're like, we want to go do the thing. We want to go get the dopamine hit of like doing the activity or going out to dinner, or like we were supposed to go to a concert recently. And like I'm using this example because low key, I know you forgot to book the tickets, but can I just say, low key, I was so happy that you didn't book because the only reason I was going was because like I wanted to hang out with you. But then, but like financially, I was like, I actually this month is so tight. I can't afford the
I
$200.
know, but with
And then,
that, I actually like
you know,
give myself a budget every month to like spend impulsively because I know it's gonna happen.
yeah, that too. Yeah, I feel like sometimes I will be like, oh, I should do this thing because my dopamine's like I should do the thing, and then I go to spend the money without really thinking about it. But in having those conversations and being more open about it, now I can be like, actually, can't afford to do that, guys. And you guys are like, oh, okay, that's fine. We'll find another way to hang out. And you feel less of the guilt. And like, all my friends will check in and be like, oh, do you want to do something low key instead?
And I've had to do that. Like in my journey recently, finances are slightly better, so I can make a few more kind of decisions around social plans and doing things like that. But I've had to be very honest with some of my closest friends. I'm like, hey, listen, money's tight. I actually can't go out. Like, I can, but that comes at a cost to me, which I'm not currently in a position to foot. And the right people get it. Like my friends, are like, dude, that's so fine. We'll fucking come over and do something. We don't have to go out. We'll play games, we'll watch a movie, and that's another marker for us as neurodivergent folks to know that we have the right people around us. Because if we have people around us who shame us for doing that, it's a good sign for you to be like, actually, you know what? I'm glad I had this conversation with you because I now know my limitations and my constraints and my restrictions with you, which means um, I love you as a friend. You're a great human, but this is not a friendship for me. Whereas if you have a conversation with someone makes you feel safe about money, you're like, damn. Not only can I tell you about my deepest, darkest secrets and have emotional safety, I can have financial safety. This is a great fucking friend, and I want to keep it, and I will invest in it. If it means I can't put money, I'll put time, I'll put effort, I'll put other things. And so that then creates this I don't know the right English word, echo chamber or replicating loop. And we like gratification. Those positive things make more dopamine, which indirectly incentivize us to keep making good decisions. So I guess in life we need to keep finding these kind of reinforcing loops of things that indirectly incentivize us to do good things for ourselves.
Yeah, and if they can't, if they do guilt you, shame you, find better friends.
On the topic of like impulsive purchases as well, one of the things I started trying to do this year was if I go to buy something, because online shopping was like a real fucking vice for me. So now what I do is I'll open up the links for things. I send them to myself. They get added to a list, and I have like on the Sunday before I get paid again, whatever money is left over is like I'm allowed to use that for a purchase that I was going to do impulsively. Doesn't work always. Like for my brain, if something is $20 and under, it's not actually money, which is so stupid, I know. But like it works for the bigger things a little bit. So I've noticed a bit of a decrease in that. But it has have either of you guys tried anything in terms of impulsive spending that has sort of worked?
um Impulsive spending, like I am a spreadsheet girly, so I track my budgets for the month. I include fun money spending because having fun is one of my values. So I have like three main values that I spend on. One is experiences, one is friends and family, and one is, I forgot what the third one is, so maybe it's not that important. But it's been working for me. So when I do, there are some months when maybe I overspend on some things. Um, it doesn't hurt me as much because I know that I spend it on something that is very important. So it doesn't send me into that shame spiral. And then I also have like pie charts and graphs that show how my money is moving. And that visual thing keeps me going on like being consistent with it, which I think you mentioned was one of the challenges as well. Anyway, I'm like very neurotic with my money. So
Well, we've asked all our guests, what's your one takeaway for our guests who are listening to all of this chaos? You're going to say technology again, weren't you?
Well, it was that, or in my head I was singing "Bitch, Sit Down, Be Humble" by Kendrick. But that has no relevance to the conversation. um, Technology, I have to get probably technology. The main thing for no, I think key takeaway is learn how to have really good conversations about money, and that unlocks, I guess, everything else when it comes to better financial literacy, better financial management, financial hygiene, and improving your overall financial well-being of being a neurodivergent person or even a neurotypical person. It's just good for everyone to do these things, and even better for us as neurodivergent folks to do them because they lead to far better outcomes for us in general and improve our financial well-being.
Thank you. Thank you so much for helping us talk about money in a way that feels shame free, values led. And if anyone is listening, this man has made so many money mistakes, and now he is the CEO of like this amazing startup. He has a whole staff. He like raised money. All he talks about is money, and he's good at it. And he kind of like healed my irrational fear of finance bros. So let this be a reminder that you are not doomed or broken. You just haven't been given the right tools yet, or you have shit friends. So find better friends. And you can explore Inaam's free courses, start small, and make your finances work for your brain. But Arjun, could you just give us a rundown of where folks can learn more, sign up, or find you?
Amazing. Thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to both of you. Really appreciate the opportunity to come on here, and I hope that what we've spoken about has added value for you, your listeners, and everyone in the community. For Inaam, we actually share a lot of this content on our socials on Instagram. So it's at Inaam Your Money. That's INAAM_your money. You can head onto our website, www.inaam.me, download the app, sign up to our newsletters, where we also share a lot of finance tips. We have a learning lab on the website with a bunch of interesting articles shared in a tone of voice, language, and graphics that make sense to all of us. And yeah, so head there, download, share, like, subscribe, follow, download the app, invest your money on the app. And it's all very simple. It's all very explainer-friendly, user-friendly. And we're really excited to really bring the future of investing and give money a mission to help us all make the world a better place and finally go the right places.
Yes.
Yay! Thank you.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening.
And remember to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Girls That ADHD for more ADHD realness, to ask us questions, or slide into our DMs with episode ideas.
And sign up to our newsletter at girlsatadhd.com to stay updated on new episodes, toolkits, workshops, and book in ADHD coaching if you're ready to work with your brain, not against it.
And if you found this episode useful, leave us a quick review because it really does help us reach more ADHDers and help them find us in the chaos.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.